Alright, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Behind me here, we've got this beautiful 1970 Chevelle SS. It's got some wiring issues, the brakes are leaking, we're going to be changing the wheels and tires. It's got a Dakota digital dash in it, and none of the gauges are reading properly. And the owner has trusted me to tidy up the wiring, get the new wheels and tires on, fix all the small issues, and get this car back on the road and driving as it should be. Alright, I'm back in here on the Chevelle. Came in here yesterday and messed around with the throttle body a little bit. So the people who set up the throttle body and cable last time had the cable a little too long, so there's quite a bit of throw in the throttle pedal before it ever actually activated the butterfly, and you could not hit wide open throttle because of that. It was sticking pretty bad. If you come down in here, diagnose another issue. It's kind of dark, but right there where that idler is, and this idler down here, the belt was actually cutting into the water pump hose here and into the bracket. The spacing is off with this kit. The alternator is spaced properly. The AC bracket is actually an 8 rib with a 6 rib belt, and they had it riding on the middle ribs. So I moved the belt forward to the front ribs. I'm going to run it like that and see. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to space the alternator bracket out to get the pulleys to align properly to keep the belt from rubbing. The battery's out right now. I know it's a mess in here. I've got it on the charger, but I don't believe I'm going to be able to save it. There's some sort of electrical draw in the car that I have to figure out, and I believe it cooked one of the cells in the battery and was in here doing a little detailing. But if you come in here, you can see I started to diagnose the wiring. We ended up leaving and going to a car show last night, but there's an issue where the gauges constantly sweep on the Dakota digital dash. So I did some reading, and it could be demo mode, or the gauges could need to be calibrated. I didn't have any fault codes on the controller down here, so if the battery is shot, I'm gonna have to run and go get a new one, put it in, and then I'll continue updating as I figure out the wiring issues. Once I get it figured out, I'm just gonna tidy them up, try to tuck them up under the dash where you can't see them, make sure the gauges work good, and then after that I'll be driving it around, seeing if I can't dial in the tune a little bit and get this beautiful car back on the road where she should be. Man, I love this car so much. Alright guys, headed to O'Reilly's. Trip number 1 of, I don't know, probably 2000. Alright everybody, I'm back in here on the Chevelle, chasing down the wiring issues. I haven't updated much because most of the time I've been laying underneath the dash trying to trace down some wires. The previous owner of this car did a hack job on all the wiring. Right now I'm diagnosing the blinkers. None of the blinkers work, and they put in these aftermarket headlights with the halos. Been chasing some wiring in here. They cut this aluminum and just tucked it down below in the fender well, so I have to address that as well. But if you come in here, it's a mess. I got everything torn apart. So this car has aftermarket radio, aftermarket AC, Holly Sniper with the Hyper Spark and all of that, new column with the Billet Specialties wheel, Dakota digital dashes, and they decided it was a good idea to just delete the blinkers altogether. So this is coming off of your clock spring. You got your power. This is supposed to be tied to the blinker flasher. and then you have your right and left turn signals. They just cut the flasher completely out of here, didn't connect any of these, and they looped it all up and just taped it up, shoved it up in the dash, and zip tied it. Also, the brake switch was a battery draw issue. The brake lights would stay on at all times, so got a new switch coming, got a new flasher coming, and then this wiring harness ties into the blinkers. A few other things up front, have to chase that, figure it out. You see they just have random wire taps everywhere in here. Wires hanging, wires cut. It's a nightmare, but slowly but surely whittling away at it, trying to get this old girl right. So, also the speedo doesn't work with this having the Holly, and no signal wired to it. I got to get the BIM GPS module as well as the BIM for the tach to work, because you don't have a distributor pickup. So you tie into the harness from the little Holly screen over here, tease into the box, and get your tach reading. So I'll update y'all as I make some progress.
A rolling shot of May May. May May. May May.
Alright guys, here's another Chevelle update. I got it up on the rack. Took the old wheels and tires off of it, threw on the new wheels and tires. They're JTX forged with the floating center cap. It's pretty sweet. The fronts fit perfect. We had a feeling they would. We knew we were probably going to have a problem with the rear. If you can see here, the wheels almost flush with the outside of this trim here. And I set the car down gently on these blocks right here to get it to ride height. And yeah, we only have about 2 inches of clearance from the top of the wheel to the fender, which is going to get smaller once you put a tire on there, obviously. So I think they're a little too wide to cut and roll the fender, so we're either going to have to jack up the rear of the suspension and get it to have that old school rake, or the customer had talked about pulling the rear in, maybe shorten the housing. It's going to need about 1 inch on each side. These are 20x12s as well as the old are 20x12s, but these have 5-inch back spacing. These have 6-inch back spacing, so that extra inch poked out enough that it gets into the fender. So I'm gonna have to contact him, see exactly what he wants to do, and then we'll move on from there. But the car does look pretty sick with those black JTX forged on there. Alrighty, Chevelle's back on the ground. I spoke with the owner. He said he wanted to hold off on doing the fab work in the rear to get those wheels on. He said he might run them on his Camaro. So got the older wheels and tires back on. Man, it still just looks so sick with these on. And I noticed on the passenger side over here when I was putting the wheel back on, I don't know if it's gonna come through on the video or if I can find it right now. Oh yeah, there it is. There's a, you can barely see, but there's a cut right along here, and it kind of gets up into the tread. And I got to looking, because these are 20x12s, and it was getting into the trim and the liner on the inside of the fender. So I got in there and clearanced it, so now I can get my fingers in between the tire and the fender. I rolled the lip in there decent amount, nothing too crazy. I didn't have to cut or anything, but make sure I get enough. You probably have 1 inch or so of clearance now inside the fender liner and the tire. And the last update, y'all saw that I got all the blinkers and everything done. Still need to tidy up that little bit. That's the blinker harness and all that. I wanted to make sure everything was working properly before. As far as the gauges go, I got all the gauges programmed to work correctly. I have to set the clock, and then we're still waiting on the BIM module to tie into the Holly. That way you can get a tachometer. Once that comes in, get it out on the road, drive it, shake it down, make sure everything's proper. Make sure the AC is working good, radio works good, I already know that. That shifting linkage doesn't work quite as it should because it's got a 4L80E swap, and that's a 3-speed shifter. But it still goes into park, reverse, neutral, and then drive. I think you can catch third and second, or yeah, third and second, but you can't pull all the way down to first. But it drives properly with the 80E. So, yep, that's it. She's a beauty.